Why has their mother done this? Why? That is the huge question here.
It is.
The story which Judge Puffley gave to the media is that that is a dispute, it's a custody dispute. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth, because I already had custody over my children. So for me, there was no reasons. They say I coached them, we coached them in order to get on to him. Well, why?
They will ask why.
They will ask why.
Well, why? I mean, I had custody over children. I didn't want to do anything with him. Why I would create the story and coach children to say such outrageous things? And first of all, I wouldn't even have the details of the story myself to coach them.
They will ask why, and that's going to be a very tough question to answer to not two young children, but two young children about their mom. It's about one parent stopping contact.
End of November 2011, he gave up his visiting rights, saying that I make the contacts very difficult and he doesn't want to pursue it anymore.
It's about one parent stopping contact. That's all this is.
And it turned out he went away. He either planned to go away, I don't know what was the motivation between him dropping the rights, but he did. And he declared in the courtroom. So at that time, I received a residence order, so children were residing with me.
They will ask why.
They will ask why. And
why would I do that? Why I would take children with these false allegations to the police and to put them through what they're going through, and to put myself in this situation. Besides, I think it's a quite serious crime, right? To make false allegations and of this matter. And not just that, if you wanted to get back onto him, I mean, why I would include teachers, parents, why I would do that, police officers, the social workers, Kafka's workers, what or not, I would do that.
It's unprecedented. I don't get it.
This is part of my witness statement, and it's basically based on Justice Puffley's own summary, the foundation of her judgment. And, she states in support of her judgment the law of probabilities, you see. And she's claiming it's up to the children and their mother to prove their allegations as appropriate to inherent probabilities, which clearly Justice Puffley has decided they're not, and that the retracted allegations enforced now with allegations against a mother and a partner are. And, here's an example of required level of probability of proof. And as I explain, in this case, we have a lot of reasons to heighten probability that the original allegations could be true, and therefore, because they could be true, then they, according to EU law, should be immediately investigated. And here I list, all the facts. Was it probable that Jimmy Savile was a paedophile? British authorities decided for a very long time it was not probable, and his victims were until very recently ignored. Was it probable that David Cameron's senior policy advisor, Patrick Rock, would be forced to resign from his role at number 10 Downing Street in light of his admittance to and later conviction for paedophile activity? Was it probable that a senior Essex police officer, Ben Hodder, would be facing jail after pleading guilty to making 5 indecent images of children? Was it probable that a British Prime Minister, namely Margaret Thatcher, would be guilty and complicit in covering up paedophile crimes among her own cabinet and other government ministries, as has been recently revealed to the British public? Was it probable that multiple councils, police and childcare providers would all be found complicit in covering up and participating in paedophile activities of every kind? Considering the facts of crime in light of historical victim survivors. Because of all the above, once considered improbabilities are now proven facts of crime, and with a multitude of historical victim survivors pressing charges for the crimes they suffered, and which were systematically ignored as improbable, all present allegations of sexual abuse of children, which involve multiple professionals, can no longer be dismissed as improbable. Indeed, it is these ever-increasing revelations to the British public that have contributed to the deeper suspicions of Mother, her council, and the lawful public authority in this case, in the sense that P&Q's initial allegations are actually very probable. It is interesting that Judge Pawley cites the probability factor as grounds for arriving at her judgment against a concerned mother and her counsel, whose only efforts have been to be sure that children are not at risk. How many cases are regularly shared in the British media about mothers who take part in abusing their children and torturing them, so they will repeat a story to police and other authorities about satanic ritual abuse involving 8 schools and 20 other children, and include such details as baby killing, baby eating, and dancing with skulls? What probability exists to suggest even a reason for a mother or her partner to commit such vile abuse of 2 children in their care? Because if it was indeed, as Justice Pawley suggested, to discredit their father and thereby deny him any contact with his children, it makes no sense that they would engage in abusively coaching the children to memorise and independently accurately repeat in police custody such a lengthy and detailed story involving not just the father but a multitude of others, and even embellished with drinking blood and eating babies. Unless an individual is suffering from severe psychotic illness, which has not been proven of either the mother or her partner, it is not at all probable that a mother would go to such extremes and risk losing custody of her children to put them through such trauma of police interviews and medical examinations, and then later, out of pure malice against the father, publish her children's coach testimonies on YouTube with a cry for help. For what purpose? Because certainly, if her issue was with the father, then it could have all been a very much simpler process to only focus on abuse by the father, and even more certainly, allegations of sexual abuse pertaining only to the father would have been easier to coach and more likely to be accepted and believed by others. It is the lack of probability pertaining to the mother and her partner as the only abusive parties in this case. That is another important legal point of fact, because in any crime, unless committed through severely impaired psychology, there has to be a motive with intent. What was the motive and the intent behind Miss Draper and Mr. Christie's alleged coaching and abuse of P&Q? Was any evidence presented to the court of the couple's deep hatred and resentment toward the Christchurch school and the Hampstead community that might provide motive? No such evidence was presented or implied. So, I will leave you the link to this and to all the other witness statements regarding the latest High Court judgment in this case. And the reason why people have gone to so much trouble to look in detail at this case and to take the time to present their witness testimony is because we are concerned and we have valid grounds for concern.